I'm really excited you're here. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you.
And I'm really grateful for all your teaching. You know, one of the things, and this is Damian. He's an amazing human being. He's a great teacher. And we're just going to talk. We're going to talk like we always do. We just hang out and we talk about great things. And I think those things need to be shared. You know, I came up with the idea of like Om time. We just talked about it today.
Yes.
So what do you think of it? Om time. This is just Om time. And like Om time is also a home. It's
Yes.
creating a home. And it's creating a home in our, you know, in our body, in our soul, but also creating a home in anywhere you are. Like this place, you turn it into an ashram, and it's a place, every time I walk in these doors, in the door, I feel there's such a connection, and I feel like I'm home. And I feel like my spirit feels like it's home. It's not so much like external, it's an internal experience. Then whenever I go to ashrams or I go meet a great teacher, you get that experience. And this is the experience that you know, it's kind of, you want to cultivate it, wrap it, and trademark it.
Yeah,
So everybody want to do, well, how do you, but you can really trademark those things. It's like, it's such an experience, like God cannot be trademarked.
That's right.
Right? So it's like, you know, and a minute ago you were talking about balance, like how do we really cultivate balance? And you know, you said another thing where we talked about is like first start with the food.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, I feel like this is such an important aspect of our life, is to really bring everything, you know, the food is the first, actually it's a physical thing that we can actually have sort of a control over. Yeah. And if we get a hang on the food, you know, we don't have to worry about our body fat. We don't have to worry about getting weight and being like heavy and or you know, too skinny. And then the other thing is the mind.
Yes.
The whole thing about the food is like, it's another way of really getting a satvic mind, which is another way of saying like mind that is stable, it's calm, it's settled, it's not rajasic, it's not heat and fiery. You know, and me and you are sort of the same type of people. We are very pitta, even more pitta, but you know, like that fiery. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess the fats, it's something that what I feel is very different about you than any other teacher I studied with or worked with, is that you brought the whole element of raw fat into our society. And it's such a taboo in this country about eating fat and eating raw, because it's like we don't want fat. So every diet that you go and see, it's like zero fat, zero fat, zero fat. And it's such a, you know, we're getting older. We want women. We want our skin to look beautiful. Yeah. And want to look healthy. And we want to feel like we're not hungry constantly for something. So the fat, I feel like the whole thing that you were teaching us about fat, it's just, it's brilliant. It's really a brilliant concept that it's very different than anyone teaching. And what I feel that you're doing is you bring it into the modern days.
Well, it's only here in America specifically that I've experienced this no fat concept.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's why I teach that here. I wouldn't particularly have taught the same thing in different parts of the world.
Okay, that's interesting.
But here it's particularly shunned and looked down upon because all the fats have been processed. But coming back to the home, so in the boarding school ashram that I went to when I was a child, they taught us that first you clean your surroundings, your home around you, and then you clean and tidy up your clothes and the things that you're going to wear, and then you clean and tidy up your body. So you do yoga, pranayam, breathing and movement. And then you would clean your skin, and then you can sit down and meditate, clear the mind, and then you sit down and pray to whoever and these are all the different homes that we have.
Oh,
and we
beautiful.
consider every home is really a temple, because ultimately the Supreme resides within all these homes. But like you were coming back to food, I would not even begin to start cleaning my ashram space until I've put something in my stomach.
Oh, okay. So you first bring the food in before you clean your actual physical place.
Because if I'm to do anything, I need the sustenance to do it. So I would never start doing something and then look for sustenance. Put the sustenance, gas in your tank, then go on a long trip. So it's a bit like that.
Yeah. And I love what you said about cleaning your space. You know, the Buddhism, Shekyen Trungpa, you know, is a wonderful teacher who said in one of his books, The Path of the Warrior, your space is so important. It's not that we need to decorate it, you know, overboard, but your space needs to be clean, because it's sort of, it's how we start, you know, our day, is to have a cleaner space, and it's easier for the mind. But I like what you say. It's like, first give me the fuel to be able to have the energy to clear my space.
So definitely nutrition also frees us from a lot of cravings. Cravings that are not only food regarded. Usually our cravings for other things like cigarettes, coffee, movies.
Movies are addiction?
Well, these
I'm
are
a total movie addict.
This is trying to fill a gap in us that is not full. It's usually to do with sustenance, because if you get the good nutrition, you feel so sustained and fulfilled.
So full.
Here,
so full. Yeah.
Who's the happiest person in the world? Someone who's eaten a home-cooked meal, preferably by someone who loves them. That's the happiest person in the world.
My kids are damn lucky.
And who's the
my husband.
Who's the most agitated, angry person in the world? Someone who hasn't eaten for a long time.
Right. Very true.
So sustenance and fulfillment here in the digestion allows sustenance and fulfillment in the mind and the body. If the stomach is restless, we are going to be restless.
So the type of food that we eat in is super important
Very
to get
important.
that. So it's not just any food. It's like, yeah. And I like what we talked today about, you know, how am I having a healthy diet while I'm running around? And it's almost like, sounds like it's better not to actually sit and eat the food. It's almost better to drink the food, especially when you're on the go.
On the go, yes.
Yeah. So those yogurt drinks diluted with water, like lassis.
Coconut milk.
Coconut milk.
Flax milk is fantastic too.
Flax milk. We talk about raw milk that is slightly cooked with honey.
Yes, slightly warmed.
Slightly warm, yeah. Not too warm the milk, because then it's not good to mix the honey if it's too hot, And spices, little spices.
Yes, sometimes spices can be used depending on your body type. Some body types need stimuli for digestion and some don't. So depending on your body type.
Right. So someone like me, we mentioned like 4 peppercorn grind with hot water.
With hot water is fantastic as a cleanse. It can be used before meals and also 30 to 45 minutes after a meal to cleanse and allow everything to flow through.
It's good for digestion.
Really, we're just trying to find a balance, and to be able to find balance, the simple way is the best. So eating single foods is a very good way if you eat a single food and see what it does to us. If we have too many foods at the same time, it's difficult for us to perceive which one could be creating the gas or which one be creating the acidity.
Right.
But through mono eating a single food at a time, we can very much see what each food does, and then we can start to combine foods, because this makes me acidic and that's very slow. So if I mix the coconut milk with the green juice is high in sugar, coconut milk is high in fat. The coconut milk will slow down the juice, and the juice will speed up the coconut milk. So it's a good partnership.
Nice.
But it's important to eat them mono too, so you know what their effect is alone.
Nice, because that's actually something that I did for 6 months. I kind of experimented on food to see which food is right for my body, which not.
Yeah.
And the single item, what do you call it? Single mono eating is a very good approach. Yeah.
Yes.
So the yogurt by itself, and why is it so important to have the raw? Like, it's like that it's not, you know, pesticide.
Pasteurized.
Pasteurized.
Yeah. Well, see, many foods that there's a whole raw community that eat raw foods, but in Ayurveda we consider only certain foods should be eaten raw.
Like what?
Like fats, all fats must be raw.
Okay.
Some proteins and some carbohydrates, but most protein and carbohydrate need to be heated.
Most protein and carbohydrate needs to be heated.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about protein, like eggs and meat and
Eggs and
fish,
meat and those kind of
needs to be
things, just
cooked.
because they won't be safe.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
anything that has animal products, animal nature in it, has possibility for bacterias. But so do greens. There you can get amoebas and bacterias from greens
Okay.
too. So steaming greens and cooking proteins allows. But when we have fats, we just need to make sure that the sources are clean and they're cold pressed.
Okay.
But fats should be warm. They should never be cold. But greens and grains should all
Yes.
be sprouted or steamed,
Right. Right.
because their nature is too crunchy to
So-
have them without steaming it a little
So
bit.
when you steam it, it's actually sort of digesting it for
Yeah.
the stomach a little bit.
Yeah.
So when it goes in, it kind of like
Pre-digested.
pre-digested.
Like we,
So it sounds like a lot of the food in the Ayurveda philosophy, it's more cooked.
yeah.
But
Well, it's more just to break down the gas-producing effect of
okay,
the food,
that's
and that's
so
why
important.
we add spices
That's
too.
super important. Yeah.
Spices will cut the gas or the acid-producing effect of food.
It's so interesting because I don't remember from all my learning from macrobiotic to raw food, anyone talks about producing gas producing, and you said the other thing was acid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and acid it's sort of more like the pH balanced diet and alkaline diet, which there is a lot of talk about it now. But it's more about eating green and vegetables to get it more alkaline, avocado or what else make it alkaline?
Well,
The
alkaline-
juicing, the green juicing. But you're
Yeah.
talking about from a different perspective. You're talking about more alkaline with a little bit of a spices and the yogurt drink that's cooling, more of a cooling,
Yes.
like
well,
aloe vera.
there's a lot of here in the Western system. There's a lot of research.
Yeah.
So research is not holistic. It's separated. So we know a lot about kale and what's inside kale, but how does kale fit inside a human being? There's no information out on that. This information,
So you're talking more about consciousness.
yeah,
Consciousness of the
this
food.
information is obtained by speaking to the kale. Ask the kale. We go in and we research the kale. It's like putting someone in a torture chamber until they divulge all their
The
information.
boxing range that we talked about before.
But if you ask the kale what his properties are, what his natures are, he will tell you if you're kind and sweet with the kale, and the kale will teach us what his properties are and who he should be eaten with, and when he should be eaten.
Yeah, I can see the kale saying, "Give me some butter."
Yeah.
Totally.
Throw a little black pepper and salt. I'll
yeah.
taste nicer. You can squeeze some lemon on me too. He'll guide you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll guide you. I like that.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.